I wrote the novel. Now what? Hi, welcome if you're new here. I'm Caitlin. I'm a writer documenting my entire process to becoming a published author, and I just finished the first draft of my very first book ever. If you like My Lady Jane or Renegade Nell, you might like my novel Sir Callan Gray's Final Lament. It's a soft fantasy that follows a disgraced medieval knight and the time-traveling journalist who is trying to uncover the truth behind his exiling. I'm not going to sit here and say that I am 100% ready for the revision phase, as this is the first novel that I have ever finished. And as an AuthorTube viewer, I know that there are a lot of people who really despise this phase of the process, but I am trying to keep everyone's advice at the forefront of my mind, which is essentially to start big and go small. I was doing a bit of research for this project, and you know you're in trouble when there's not even a Reddit post to give you the exact answer that you're looking for, but we persist. I ended up creating my own Notion template, so if you are also in the revision trenches this year, hopefully this makes it a little bit more bearable. And a quick disclaimer, this is not my idea at all. The author of Saves the Cat, which is a writing craft book, which I'm sure you've probably read, also has what she calls the level down revision method. I'll link her video down below just in case you're curious about the finer details of the method, but essentially the concept is to start big and go small. We're going to pop over to my Notion page now so that you can kind of get an idea of how I'm going to use the tracker to sort of keep me on track for this year. I want to finish draft 2, maybe 3, but seeing other writers have a slower progress, I know that this might not be entirely realistic. Alrighty, so at the top of my page, I have my tagline for my book, which is actually pulled directly from the cover that I designed. And then just below that, I have the Trackbear link to Brielle's leaderboard. Now, I'm new to Trackbear, but I loved the idea of tracking within a community, so we're going to try it and we're going to see if it works for my process. If not, it's totally fine. Below that, I have each level and just a brief summary of what each level should be. So, for example, the story level should be the entire story, plot, pacing, character arcs, just the big stuff. The next is scene level, where you should revise each scene as though it's its mini story, focusing on pacing, structure, and essential elements. And then lastly is the line editing section, where you go each page and line by line, make sure that the writing is dynamic and compelling. Below is what I'm calling my second brain. It's an all-inclusive database. This is where all of my thoughts, notes, etc. are going to live. A big thank you to Marta, whose table was the starting point for my revised version. And I will include their video below in case that version resonates better with you. Now let's walk through exactly what the table is by inputting a task that I already know I need to complete. In the original opening chapter, Cal is late to a Knighthead meeting, which prompts his father to then send him on this character building quest, which is the plot of the story. And this was great for the initial opening when I didn't know too much about the story, but now that I know Callan a little bit better, I do have a scene in mind that I think would work a little bit better to show kind of his character and make things a little bit more fun. We're going to ignore this lock icon for now and just focus on the task title, which I'm going to call New Opening for Cal. Next, we're going to see status, which is going to have a bunch of different options. Technically, I've already brainstormed and figured out what I'm going to do to change this, so I'm hitting brainstorming. And then scope is really where we start to see those levels in play. So story level, scene level, page level. This technically could be story level. It does alter a few scenes. However, I'm going to say it's primarily scene level. And then next is category. This is going to be plot. And then it involves Callan. And here you can put in any of your characters. And then act, it's going to be act 1. Chapter 1, I already have in there. The issue was detected while I was drafting. It's going to be fixed in my draft 2. And then I don't have any additional notes yet that I could share with you. This is where I would probably put in what I need to change it to. And then lastly, we have this shelved in category. So doing the math, to finish draft 2 by 2026, I need to do at least 2 chapters a month, which I think is very doable. So this shelved in section really just lets me know what month I worked on that chapter. But I think the more important part is the locked icon. In one of Brielle's revising videos, she mentioned that progress was really slow going because she kept working in all of the chapters and bouncing back and forth. And so then she decided to work on only one chapter at a time. And I really like the idea of having a time constraint. Maybe it's a day or a week or whatever works best for you. But after that time is up, then you can no longer go back and work in that chapter other than to, add additional notes that need to be fixed in the next draft. The locked icon is going to let me know that I've already worked on that chapter and I can't go back in, but I can still add revision notes to my overall tracker. And then below that is just a chapter by chapter view. So say I'm moving on to chapter 2, I can click on it and see all of the different things that I need to do for that chapter. Next, I have editing specs. I have yet to add the starting word count, but something I've noticed a lot of other writers struggling with is how when you're drafting, there's like a clear progress because your word count is going up or your page count is going up or you're checking off scenes that you need to write. But when you're revising, you're deleting a lot of things or Frankensteining chapters together. So I included this just so that I could sort of see kind of where I was versus where I'm at. And I think that will definitely help to make it feel like there is progress happening. If you've watched the Daily Dose of Draft 1, you know that I am no stranger to deleting whole entire scenes. And I know that that will probably happen for this draft. And so I'm trying not to worry about it too much. I know that there probably has to be a lot of deleting and a lot of scene adding. In fact, I know that there has to be scene adding because my Act 3 is pretty small. It needs a little beefing up. Next, I've added a spot for my outline, which is probably going to be one of the first things that I do. I have a little spot for some revision goals, which I'm sure will also change as I go through. And lastly is the revision habit tracker. So I want to make revising one of my daily habits. And so I've made a 52-week tracker where I will be able to check off every single day. And yes, I know that I probably will not stick to this every single day, but I really want to keep up with the pace that I was working at in November. And having not really written or done anything in December for my projects, I am just itching to get back into Project Lament. So yeah, that's my plan. I hope this works out, but I also know that things change and I change and I will probably have to pivot at some point, and I am definitely okay with that. Again, check the description below if you want to download this template to your Notion workspace, and let me know if you end up altering it, just because I love to know other revising methods. If you like this video, please consider subscribing and turning on notifications to see more like it. And if you want to see even more from me, you can find my author website in the description to sign up for my newsletter, where you can be the first to get involved in some pretty cool things, like how if you sign up in December or January, you're automatically entered to win a free book cover design by yours truly. Alrighty, y'all, I will see you in the next one. Happy writing.